To make your first hook, you're going to take your craft wire and you're going to take your needle nose pliers, and you're just going to make a very tiny hook. Like this. Then you're going to go to your LED cube. You're going to put this end into the hole, and as you're putting the hook down, you're going to loop the hook onto the very first row of the common negatives or the common cathodes. So this should be for the very first layer. It should look something like this. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it on the other side, and I'm just going to bend that wire down so it stays in place. To keep the wire from moving around, I'm just going to use the needle nose pliers to pinch that wire shut. Now, I'm going to go ahead and solder this here. You want to be very careful that when you're soldering the hook on, that you don't spend too long and accidentally melt the solder connection that's over here. So clean the tip, tin the soldering iron, being very careful that you don't burn your LED. You're going to solder that wire in place. It should look something like this. Now I'm going to take my second hook, and this is now going to connect to that second layer, and again on the row of the common negatives or the common cathodes. So that one goes into here. I've got that hooked on, and to keep that from sliding around, I've also bent the lead down on the other side. Go ahead and then solder that on. There we go. Now I'm going to do that for the third row. For the third layer, make another hook. For the third layer, it goes into this hole over here. To keep this from moving around, I'm just going to go ahead and crimp this. And then you're going to solder that connection over there. Take your last hook. That goes into that very last hole over there. And again, that hook goes onto the common cathodes or the common negatives of the top layer. You know you've done this right when you have a craft wire that's hooked, connecting from this hole to the first layer of your negatives, the second hole here connecting to the second row of negatives on the second layer, that third hole going to the third layer again of all the negatives, and finally that last hook going all the way to the top layer and again connecting to the negatives. Once you're done, you're going to flip over, and you've got all these leads that are bent. You're just going to go ahead and lift them up and solder them. Then go ahead and take your side cutters and trim the leads.